On Friday, the Department of Justice served the Federal Reserve with grand jury subpoenas, threatening a criminal indictment related to my testimony before the Senate Banking Committee last June. That testimony concerned in part a multi-year project to renovate historic Federal Reserve office buildings. I have deep respect for the rule of law and for accountability in our democracy. No one, certainly not the chair of the Federal Reserve, is above the law. But this unprecedented action should be seen in the broader context of the administration's threats and ongoing pressure. This new threat is not about my testimony last June or about the renovation of the Federal Reserve buildings. It is not about Congress's oversight role. The Fed, through testimony and other public disclosures, made every effort to keep Congress informed about the renovation project. Those are pretexts. The threat of criminal charges is a consequence of the Federal Reserve setting interest rates based on our best assessment of what will serve the public, rather than following the preferences of the president. This is about whether the Fed will be able to continue to set interest rates based on evidence and economic conditions, or whether instead monetary policy will be directed by political pressure or intimidation. I have served at the Federal Reserve under 4 administrations, Republicans and Democrats alike. In every case, I have carried out my duties without political fear or favor, focused solely on our mandate of price stability and maximum employment. Public service sometimes requires standing firm in the face of threats. I will continue to do the job the Senate confirmed me to do, with integrity and a commitment to serving the American people. Thank you.
Man, is that loser scared or what? I mean, come on, Pally. Yeah, is that all you got?
Good evening.
Is that all you got, my friend? I mean, come on. Like, well, it's that time again, folks. The deep state is freaking out. If you didn't know, I don't know if you guys saw that today, the Jerome Powell speech, but that's desperation. The fact that he's coming out and calling it. So anyways, tonight, it's all part of it. We're going through it. We're going to talk about the end game for the deep state. They are pulling out all the stops. It's all building up. They're going to go for market destruction, which is what part of this Powell is about. This Powell video is about. They're going for World War III. They're going for Civil War. They're trying to do it all at once. We're going to break it down because they're going to fail. But it tells you, guys, listen, they don't have many aces in the hole left. By the way, I'm Ace. I'll take you on this journey tonight. But listen, they're running out of options and they are freaking out. They are terrified. Trump is getting so many wins. If you guys missed my video over the weekend about how Trump's week last week, I believe, may have sealed him the midterms. It was that good. And if the momentum continues, it's definitely happening. So this, don't listen. The blackpilling, it's out. Get it out. We are winning. The momentum is crazy, but we got a big fight coming up here because they are pulling out all the stops. So we'll go over what's going on in Iran, how I think that's going to shake out. We'll go over what's going on with the rioting here, the protests, and why they are pulling this all out, all these stops out now. So before we get started, hit that like, hit that subscribe. We're going on a journey tonight, a wild journey. What's up, everybody in the chat? Good to see you. I will catch up with you guys in just a second. I know y'all missed me last night, but this happened. These beautiful Niners shot down some Eagles in the sky. It was a sad story for some of them, but a glorious story for some of us. Good stuff. So, yeah, now we got the Seahawks next week. Don't remind me. Don't remind me. It's going to be easy. It's going to be rough. I am a little scared. So, and also, before I get to the chat, there is one thing I want to cover, and that is that it's coming out that Scott Adams may be now in hospice and on his last few days. So Scott, if you ever in your last somehow stumble across this, but just thank you for everything. God bless you. Praying for you, praying that if this really is it, you go painlessly. And, God can still do miracles, but, we just, we're all grateful for what you've given to everything in general. You've impacted my life greatly, but also MAGA and this Trump movement. You've been a huge, massive part to helping wake up many, many people on the fence. So, this one's going to hurt. So, thoughts and prayers to Scott Adams as he probably fights out the last few days of his life. So I wanted to just make sure we do that to start. So, Scott, thank you. And God bless you, man. God bless you. Okay. All right, let's get going in the chat. Let me say hey to some peeps, and then we're going to get running here. Pat M, what's going on? Frank Anastasio. Oh, I missed the top. I started late. D6 in number 1 tonight. Shogun, CR Sports, what's up? Toe Cramp, Big B. Donna's here. Cass Sink, Rodney Allen, Blue 5, what's going on? Nick Majors, Cindy Lou, Scott Volkovich, Just Mike, Gerald Kramer, Toe Cramp, Linda Telly, good evening. Vince Felice, Bolts fan. I don't really know what's going on with Finger right now. Sorry. I got AZ Tropic and Luck to Filled over here on Rumble. Eric, man, he done messed up. Jerome, I love it. He is so desperate, isn't he? Rum Dog, what's up, man? Mark R's here, and I already said Rum Dog. You have tickets to the conference final if the Niners and Rams win? That's crazy. That'll be a crazy, crazy game in LA. Man, we have such a tough road. We got to go to Seattle, beat that super defense somehow by some miracle. I mean, listen, I don't expect to win, but this Niners team is just a team of miracles right now. It's like in the old Hunchback of Notre Dame movie, the Disney one, the Court of Miracles. That's how I think of the Niners right now. They're just like, where the lame can walk, the dead can. Yeah, it's a great song, great movie. But my team keeps shocking me. Everything now is just bonus going forward. But Texans defense, they're nuts. They are crazy. I had them in fantasy this year. Okay, we need to get moving. It's late, and some of us got work tomorrow. All right, for those of you who don't know, who haven't been paying attention, or who are new to the show, well, I got something to tell you. You guys, first of all, you need to be watching Promethean Action. They are awesome. They are so on top of what's really going on behind the scenes right now. But let me give you a quick breakdown. This is why they're freaking out. So Trump, let me just read the post. Trump isn't ending alliances. He's ending 80 years of British imperial control over U.S. policy. This is the Endgame. Absolutely it is. And what do we call them? The British imperial control, the leftovers, City of London, globalists, the elites. They go by many names these days, the cabal, but ultimately it does come back. It can be traced back to this British colonialism empire. I mean, we still see it in the fact that Canada still recognizes the monarchy, New Zealand, Australia. I mean, they have their reaches everywhere. India basically does. I mean, we're talking like the second most populated country in the world, or most populated country in the world, along with China. Yeah, they're everywhere. The Brits are everywhere, and they've always, since we pulled away from them, they've been trying to get us back, and you can see their web and everything, and that's why you don't believe like the Israel stuff. It's nonsense. It's all psyops. It's MI6. They work with Mossad. It goes back and forth. It's all over the place. They were embedded in our deep state, the CIA, all that, which Trump has been cleaning house. But that's ultimately the thing in all my years of research that is ultimately I've come to makes the most sense. And this Promethean Action women are on it, man. They've been studying it for 50 years. And everything they say, the receipts are there. So it's all falling apart, though. Trump has been breaking it up. One by one, little by little, he's knocking it out. And this is why the foreign policy push has been so huge, because until we break the foreign policy, until we stop the wars, stop their infiltration in our hemisphere, take stuff like Greenland, strategically position ourselves, weaken this whole NATO thing, break their hold over our financial system. Until that happens, we can't free America. We can't get our country on track. And I know so many people are frustrated that the domestic side of stuff is slower, but once you understand what's really going on, you know that without a shadow of doubt that the foreign policy aspect of this has to be dealt with first, and it can be dealt with the quickest because as president, Trump has almost complete constitutional authority to unilaterally act in foreign policy. So it's the quickest, most efficient, and fullest way to get us where we want to go, even though most people don't understand that. And that's okay. But that's why you guys are watching this show. That's why I do this show, to help get this out there. War Plan Red, also known as Atlantic Strategic War Plan, one of the color-coded war plans created by the U.S. Department of War during the interwar period of 18 to 1939, covering scenarios related to a hypothetical war with the British Empire. I bet you all didn't know about that. In the past, the U.S. military clearly recognized Britain as America's primary enemy, particularly in the context of imperial control and influence. You know when that changed? After World War II. League of Nations, UN, anybody? This clarity was lost due to 80 years of British imperial infiltration and control over American policy, economy, and institutions, turning the U.S. into a tool of British interests. And you can see that all in the whole 1800s. Britain was our enemy. And it is funny how fast that flopped. And what I remember under the Bush years, they're our great friend, the British. Yeah, we were all duped. And I'm not saying that that the people are our enemy. It's these controlling aspects of it. And you better believe the monarchy's part of it. There's a reason, and they're installed prime ministers. They haven't had a prime minister who is legitimately working for the good of England and ties to America since Margaret Thatcher. And that's might have been the only one that ever did so. She worked well with Reagan. She cared way more about defeating communism and building up the British economy than destroying us. But everyone else, yeah, it's all been kind of part of this big globalist push, and it does originate there. You know what else originates in England? Even though Marx wrote the Communist Manifesto, the ideas, the seeding of communism originated there, and you can trace back the Brits infiltrating and pushing communism into places like Russia. Yeah, it's wild. I can't go through it all right now, but watch these ladies, you get the fuller picture. But I'm talking from this premise going forward. And you guys all know this. You guys have been watching me. You all know it. So President Trump is actively restoring this historical understanding by confronting British-linked power structures head on. Efforts regarding Greenland, NATO assets are now talking about deploying NATO assets against the U.S. You see that. I showed you the other night. The NATO is daring to try to threaten us over Greenland, even though we're like 75, 80% of NATO. I mean, that's like, I don't even know what else you could compare that to. That's like if your sports team was, decided to run different plays, and then the sixth man by himself was like, no, if you do that, I'm fighting you guys, and it's like the other five of you are like, what? How are you going to pull that off? You're not even a starter. Yeah, that's what they're pulling here. NATO, they can't do anything, but it tells you how scared they are, how desperate. Why are they drawing the red line in the sand over Greenland? Why are they so scared about Greenland? There's obviously something going on here. Trump is starting to inch into areas they are very uncomfortable about. And it honestly, the way I look at it, I see it and I'm like, this tells you everything you need to know. We're starting to assert sovereignty. The United States has not asserted sovereignty in over 100 years. Yeah, that's how long it's been since we asserted sovereignty, and everything since World War II. And it goes back to World War I. Wilson started this. Woodrow Wilson started this. We had a little break from it. Then World War II, coming out of it, the UN and everything. That's when we went full globalist all the time. Oh, we're a global economy. We're a global nation. We have to international law, international waters. It supersedes sovereignty. And depending on if you had a Reagan in there, or a Clinton, or a Bush, or an Obama, or a Trump, depending on who was president, it depended on if they actually cared about international law or not. Reagan, not so much. Trump, not so much. JFK, not so much. Kind of tells you who the good ones are, right? Anytime we gave up our sovereignty to be under international law, we were saying, oh, you guys rule us. We're part of something larger, even though we're the biggest bully on the block. But we allowed them to steal our money, to take our wealth, to use our industry to blow themselves up while slowly stealing from us. From 1776 to 1913, we went from being a hodgepodge collection of colonists to being the number one power economically, manufacturing, industry, labor, invention in the world. It didn't even take us 150 years to become the greatest nation the world had ever seen. That's unheard of, especially considering where we started from. And we did it without empire, without going out and taking over other countries. Yeah, we spread out through our country, through the land. We did, but it's not like we were taking over nations. We were taking over tribes and moving them around. And yeah, it's terrible. We did terrible things. I'm not saying any of that. But ultimately, the point is, we didn't accrue our power by invading other nations. That's how every other empire and country in history had ever grown in power, and we didn't do it that way. We did it with capitalism, with innovation, and with freedom. World had never seen that. Well, what happened in 1913? We put a big knock on the capitalism part. We introduced the Fed. We introduced the income tax. We put a little dink in that. We introduced the League of Nations. We got into war. And then in the UN, we ceded some of our sovereignty. So that is the freedom part. So we gave up freedom. We gave up capitalism. We acquiesced. We gave into this globalist system. It was beyond us. That was not nearly as capitalistic as the rest of us. So suddenly we're playing by their rules. We enter into corporatism, crony capitalism, which looks a lot like socialism, but it's closer to fascism, but it has socialist elements. We enter into that. Our economy then, all that wealth, all that growth for the first 150 years starts slowly dying, and we do it in a whole bunch of different ways. Get off the gold standard, keep messing with income tax. We just did a whole lot of different ways. Keynesian economics, I should say. So all that evil we allowed in because we chose this globalism, ceded our freedoms, all this orchestrated by the Brits. It was genius, and I give them credit for it. It took me forever to figure it out, to find it out, but finally did, and now it makes a lot of sense. So President Trump actions against housing cartels and related financial manipulations tied to imperial, City of London, British banking and economic dominance. Why do you think most of the biggest banks in the world are located in London and have been for a long time? This is where the Rothschilds had most of their wealth, the Rockefellers, I mean, you name it, the City of London is where most of that money is. And now they're spread out. City of London doesn't actually mean London proper anymore. It's a term of these power players. But Trump is dismantling decades of their imperial control that's undermined American sovereignty, industry, and independence, framing current policies, tariffs, manufacturing revival as a direct challenge to this long-standing foreign domination. Well, guys, that's why they are freaking out, because he's actually succeeding. The tariffs, as I showed you, with what's going on in our economy, are a roaring success, which makes this Supreme Court decision that can come up in the next couple days even more important. We're in big trouble if they strike it down. Now, I believe they have backup plans, but at the same time, it is going to make it harder in the short term to maintain this wealth. And if they have to issue refunds before getting the other stuff going, watch out. That's going to be a major issue. We can't just send back $600 billion and it not be a problem. So praying for the Supreme Court decision for sure. I think I'm leaning more and more towards they're going to rule in favor of Trump, but it's obviously working. It has. Why do you think the big fight against it? Who screamed the loudest about the tariffs? It was, for years, decades even, Democrats shouted more tariffs. We have Pelosi on record, Obama, Bernie, of course, Clinton, all shouted the glory of tariffs. But why? Because at that point, they knew it wasn't going to happen. And behind the scenes, they were signing all these free trade deals, giving up our sovereignty, incorporating us deeper and deeper into a globalist system of economics where we no longer were controlling our economy. We were dependent upon all these others, had to play by their rules, becoming less and less capitalistic by the day, destroying the middle class. That's what corporatism does. It creates a massive elite that's corporate owned. That's the one difference between socialism and corporatism. The main difference. Socialism is completely ran by the state. Corporations growing the way they did with basically government power, thanks to the lobbyists, is corporatism. It's crony capitalism, when the government chooses the winners and losers of the corporations, the businesses, erodes the wealth of the middle class, gives it all to the uber rich. They keep getting richer and richer, and we keep becoming poorer and poorer, especially asset wise. The tariffs starting to restore that. Who is maddest about the tariffs? Every freaking uniparty person in the in the Congress, and then Wall Street. And what's Wall Street? Wall Street's all about the financial system, the Keynesian economics. Keep that money printing, keep that debt going. Everything's debt bubbles. Blow it up. We keep getting rich. You guys will get screwed. We'll just keep picking off your assets as the bubbles. When the bubble bursts, you guys will get screwed. We'll get bailed out. It's all going to be gravy. That's Wall Street. It's all tied to these systems. Tariffs starting to break that up. And then the manufacturing revival would bring back labor, which labor having power brings back freedom to the common man. So all that happening, it's all being successful. And then on top of that, Trump is ending all these wars. This is how they make a lot of their money. They start wars. The bankers start the wars. Not every war is bankers started, but a lot of them are. And the bankers know how to profit off them big time. Gears up the manufacturing that they can then use. It kills people, depopulates. They can take over land. They get their the contractors in there to start rebuilding or whatever. They love it. They love it. It allows intelligence agencies to go in, start controlling governments, all that kind of stuff. They love the wars, and the war machine has always been their answer every time something is going haywire, because it's a distraction. It allows them to send their young generation over. Why is it important to kill the young generation? Because the young generation is usually the ones with the energy to create revolution. You kill the young, you take out a generation, no more revolution. So you don't got to worry about that. There's all kinds of things they use war for. Trump's ending the wars, and then he's going to places like Venezuela, kicking out the ability of these deep staters, the proxy states that they've been using. He's weeding that out. He ends the Iran. We're going to talk about how that's ramping up right now, but he ended. Israel was one of their pawns for always destabilizing the Middle East, which drags us in. He put an end to that, and is hopefully going to get a final end to that, depending on how things go in Iran. But Iran, all this, they've all been using all this. They're not all powerful, but they are very smart and they're very embedded. And Trump is showing how one strong man, especially running the greatest country in the world, the most powerful country in the world, how we actually use this power, how we can actually weed it all out. Yeah, they're freaking out over that new weaponry for Maduro. Absolutely. Eric says the political parties in Greenland don't want to join us. Why do I care what they want? Why? What does that matter? Do you have a point? I don't care. We're going to get it one way or the other. So they've been getting desperate and they need a war. They need a war. And so they're using Iran right now. Now in Iran, we're getting massive protests. At one point, I read up to 1.5 million people had taken to the streets. There is great uproar going on in Iran. The regime change, which is looking more and more likely with the Ayatollahs, it seems like a great thing at first because the Ayatollahs are terrible. But here's the deal. They want to put back in the Shah of Iran's son. The dude is a full-on globalist. He is one of their controlled puppets. Just like Trump. And Trump, going back to Venezuela real quick, he pulled out Maduro, which, by the way, showed how incredible our military is. That we do have, if you guys didn't read the testimony of the guy talking about the technology the U.S. used, unbelievable stuff we'd never heard of before, seen before. How they just came in, came out, they had no chance. Incredible stuff. I recommend you guys go read that on X. Showed the might of our military and how, when used properly, we can actually get all this stuff done very easily. In the past, we didn't want to. We wanted to get into quagmire for all the reasons I explained before, the bankers and so on and so forth. What we did in Venezuela is removed Maduro and for some reason kept Maduro's regime in, used his vice president to take over, but with us having our pulse on the nation. So Trump making them release political prisoners, making them change their politics, making them unleash the oil, making them deal with us over the oil deals. Trump is running that place now from afar. It's genius. But why did they not put the woman in who was there, won the Nobel Prize over Trump, was the big outspoken critic of the Maduro regime, seemed like this wonderful person, but then we see that she's chilling at the WEF, the World Economic Forum. See, Trump knows what he's doing, because if Trump had just taken out Maduro and then put her in charge, the globalists would have just taken it anyways. Trump jumped, or I should say, trumped their planned regime change. Do you see how that happened? They were going to get that woman in there anyways. Now, Maduro's not any good dude. So what Trump did is got a regime change that had to happen, but he changed it without changing it. Pretty genius, and I can't wait to see how it all plays out. But so far, so good. Back to Iran. They're setting up regime change again, and they're setting it up for a globalist puppet to take over. The question is, how is Trump going to navigate this? I believe right now they're trying to get this uproar going, killing protesters, all this stuff that Trump's drawing a red line about to try to drag us in, but not just drag us in, drag in Israel. We have these reports coming out My own contact Tehran couldn't reach me. He said exactly, Western Tehran's twice as crowded as last night. IRGC didn't dare to shoot. We're not afraid to get our voices out to the world. It's just building and building. Trump is trying to message to us. Iran's looking at freedom perhaps like never before. The U.S. stands ready to help. So I don't know how this is going to play out because I got to tell you, this one's not easy to read. What I can tell you is that I have full faith that Trump's going to navigate this in a way that surprises us all. Right now, as things ramp up, Trump is starting to pull the economic triggers. Effective immediately, any country doing business with the Islamic Republic of Iran will pay a tariff of 25% on any and all business being done with the U.S. Orders final and conclusive. Thank you for your attention to this matter. He's getting involved. So there are lots of people who are going to freak out about this. We're going to hear it from the libertards. We're going to hear it from the Democrats. We're going to hear it from basically, this is going to be one where at first it looks like the neocons are going to be all excited about this. And you know what? Whatever. They're not going to get what they want. But Trump, if they get who they want in Iran, the globalists do, that area maintains a power stronghold for them, and they can start using it to attack Israel, stir stuff back up, maybe get World War III rolling. This is one of those instances where it's one of those things we want to stay out of. It looks like an organic uprising. The people are just uprising. Stay out of it. Let them handle it. No, that's not going to work. So what is Trump doing? He's jumping ahead again. Already we can see, don't deal with the Islamic Republic of Iran. He's becoming a part of knocking out this regime. Why? So that he can be a part of making sure the right person gets in there. We'll watch and see how this plays out. I think it's going to end up well. And I think we might actually finally see a new Iran, which if that happens, if they're using it to try to get World War III going and Trump trumps them again and ends up getting good leadership in Iran that's actually representing the people, maybe kind of like Venezuela, but not as much because it's further away, it's hard to control, but at least somebody who is not going to go to war, that will fully stabilize the Middle East, because Israel is at full peace now with everybody in the Middle East except for two. Hamas, shaky agreement, and that's on their doorstep, little group, and then the only nation, though, they're not at peace with is Iran. If they get Iran stabilized, the Middle East is pretty much off the table going forward. This is the last chance for the globalists to keep themselves in the Middle East. Trump is taking away, and Israel itself doesn't want all these wars. It's the Netanyahu government that does. If they pull this off, all the excuses for the Netanyahu government to ever be aggressive again, to start pull it, because if Israel actually starts something with another nation that is actually peaceful, that's actually at peace with them, has economic ties with them, is good with the U.S., that's going to be big trouble. They can't do it. They're only allowed, and they've only been allowed to get away with it when it's nations that have also been antagonistic to the West, especially the U.S. So we'll see how this plays out, but I think that's where they're headed. Again, because they're desperate. Now, Trump has been briefed on a wide array of military options for Iran, including kinetic, cyber, and psychological options. I have a feeling that this is going to be the closest we get to having boots on the ground. But at the same time, I think we stop at the last minute. We might have some special ops that run in, but this will be the closest. Now, I know technically there were boots on the ground in Venezuela, but I don't count it when it's 90 minutes. I don't count that. I mean, actually going in, staying there, stabilizing the place. And we don't want to do that. Trump doesn't want to do that. His whole background is that he does not do that. But it is building. And this is something we got to be praying about. But it's not just building in Iran. State departments now advise U.S. citizens to leave Iran, so things are about to ramp up. Israel, no plans to strike Iran, but preparing for self-defense and potential unforeseen developments. You can see it's all ramping up. And then what else did they pull at the same time? A Ukrainian drone strike hitting residential buildings in Russia. Russia just hit Kiev more. So this is building up at the same time. You start to see it, right? We just had that death with the ICE officer and the woman in the car trying to run him over. That has been used to trigger riots across the nation. The celebrities are coming out, running their psyops again. We just had Ruffalo last night, the Golden Globes. Oh, I have my pin to celebrate her, and ICE murdered this woman. Yeah, they're pushing it all out there, getting the riots in the streets, trying to destabilize us here, get Trump focused on that. Well, also, can you see it all coming together? It's not coincidental this is all happening at the same time. Riots back in America, Minnesota, LA, Portland, you name it. Riots in Iran. Ukraine ramping it up. Yeah. And what happened last week right before all this? Venezuela. Cut off deep state ability to use that Venezuelan oil, hurting Canada, which Canada has direct ties to London. The drug trafficking gone. The deep state, CIA, all them running through there, cut off. Oil now being unleashed. They can't control the price of oil like they did before. Did you know between Venezuela and the U.S., we have control of 55% of the world's oil between the U.S. and Venezuela? 55%. I don't know about you, but that's a controlling stake, friends. That's a controlling stake in the company at 55%. That's awesome. Any coincidence that all this is happening right after that? Trump made that move at the beginning of the year. That was a shot across the bow. We're entering into finality here. This is the year where justice is going to really ramp up. This is the year where exposure is really going to ramp up. Everything people are wanting in 2025, it's spilling into 2026. And they are attacking war, and then economically. And that's what we saw with the Powell thing today. As Powell, because everywhere you look, it's Trump's attacking the independence of the Fed. He's trying to control the economy. They were trying to shake out the stock market today. The stock market rebounded, which is crazy how resilient it is despite how fake it is. They're not quite ready for it yet. Or maybe Trump's got some plans of propping it up. He's not quite ready for it yet. I don't know. But it's all lining up. Today we also had that SEC press conference for MMTLP exposing fraud and Vandersteel. So much good stuff coming out there. We're getting the fraud exposed in so many ways. Trump, let me post a couple things on here. All eyes on Iran freedom, says this Trump account. Look at that. That is wild. And while all this is happening, what does Trump do? Getting close to a trade deal with Taiwan. You know what happens if we have a deal with Taiwan, a really good trade deal with Taiwan with superconductors and chips and everything? It makes, if China then goes into Taiwan and takes it over, then they're directly messing with us too. So Trump is taking Taiwan off the board for China as well. Because China, he just took Venezuela off the board for China. That's where they're getting a lot of their oil, cheap oil. And now he's taking Taiwan off the board. You see how Trump is countering all their moves but I actually think he's doing it by staying on the offense. It's incredible. It's incredible to watch. It really is. So while all that's going on, Trump's navigating all this. He's setting us up. He's this Greenland thing is ramping up for a reason. It's exposing the EU. It's exposing NATO. It's shaking them really badly. The whole Venezuela thing really shook them. By the way, the polling is now coming out. Huge favors. Huge good numbers. Hugely good numbers on the Maduro push. Of course, it appealed to all the red-bloodedness in us as Americans. Get in, smash that, grab the bad guy, get out, and perfect operation. Americans love that. We can't help it. It's in our DNA. We're like, oh, we don't want new wars. We don't want oh my God, did you see that? That was awesome. That's America, baby. That's America. But keep praying, keep believing and trusting in Trump and the team, and we'll get through this. But you can see all the chess pieces being put in place. It's move and counter move right now. Ramping up. Do I think we'll actually see World War III? No. Do I think they're really trying to get us into it? Yes, absolutely. Guys, if you're enjoying the content, by the way, just let me take a second, say please like, please subscribe, hit that. I really appreciate it. Christina Abbott with the $7 donation. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, Christina, as always. Very, very appreciated. Trader Joe says in Venezuela, 20 members of U.S. military members took out over 300 of them. I know it was a wild, and I didn't think we even got an injury from the whole thing. So just crazy stuff. Yeah, we're putting the push on Cuba as well right now. Trump is definitely integrating the Monroe Doctrine, getting all empires out of our hemisphere. And guess what? It's not just China and Russia. All empires also means the British. You can tell just the way this is going. When I say British, again, I do mean the deep state. That's where they originate from. It's MI6 who has been controlling the aspects of our CIA and all that we don't like. They're the ones who trigger the dark side of Israel that we don't like. All that. For all the people who are, Israel controls the world. No, they've been used and abused by the Brits. So, and again, it's the power players behind not the British people, the power players behind it. And a lot of it's connected to the crown. Moody says 55% on oil. Wait till Alberta joins. Oh man, that's going to be a big, beautiful day when Alberta comes over. Right now, Canada is starting to face economic catastrophe because they use the oil, the thick, crappy oil that comes out of Venezuela is used by Canada, and they were getting it cheap. And now that Trump's taken it over, that direct line from Canada, they're going to have to face the fact that they haven't been building pipelines. They haven't been using their resources. It's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. But the choke is on Canada right now. You got a Zaxby's ad on YouTube during my stream? Wow. I mean, you like fried chicken, I guess. Meanwhile, while all this is going on, the administration is fighting in all the ways we want them to fight. Just a lot of it's behind the scenes, and we're going to have to be okay with that for now. But look at this. Secretary Scott Bessent discusses investigation of the funding of Antifa and agitator groups. Quote, there is a money trail that leads right back to Democrat coffers. That's a big statement coming from the Treasury of the Secretary. Secretary of the Treasury. Big statement. Bessent has a mission right now that Trump's put him on, and it is go after all the fraud. Find the sources, build the case, cut off their money, and then build the case so we can take them out. That's what he's doing. Says these payments have turned into business. It's a business. They have people teach them how to form LLCs, like handing a deranged person a gun. What's supposed to be relief and aid is now being turned into these businesses that skim, and as we've seen, much of it ends up in Democrat coffers. This was with him on Human Events with Jack Posobiec. And again, I've showed you all the Besant quotes. He just keeps going. It keeps coming up. The Trump administration is doing something right now. All of this is coming to light, and I don't think some of it's organic because people are starting to be inspired and do more. But I'm starting to believe that Nick Shirley guy who exposed the Somali, the fraud in the first place that caught fire, I'm starting to think they had that, because it's very hard for a story like that to gain traction organically like that, because it's actually been exposed before and nothing happened. So this is blowing up. It looks like it's citizen journalists, and then citizen journalists, real ones, are being inspired to go out there. The Somali fraud comes out. The ICE agent episode happens. People, they're messing with us. We're getting psyops on both sides, good and bad. The good psyops being, hey, we're going to seed out this information, which is the fraud. But right now what's happening is Trump is trying to get it out there so when this stuff actually is broken up. Because if he went after fraud with the Somalians before it was all exposed, you know what people would say? Oh, those poor Somalians. I cannot believe they just wanted a better life. Trump is such a monster. He's taking away these poor money. They came here, guys, as it was sanctuary. They just need a better life. Oh my God. How can you believe this monster Trump? But now, after just 2 weeks, it's like, get those Somalians out. That's a lot of money. That's taxpayer money. You screwed us over. You see how this works? Exposure has to always happen before. Okay? Always happen before. Because in America, Trump, in his very first speech, when he got in 2017, his very first speech, I'm returning the power to the people. So the people have to be woken up, and then stuff can happen. And that's exactly what's going on. As it happens, we make moves. More and more will ramp up. It's beautiful. It's beautiful to behold. And Trump, just the winning keeps happening. This is the kind of stuff people want to see. They see Trump sitting down at the table, Elon Musk on one side, Mark Zuckerberg at the other, having these tech dinners. And everybody's like, he's a technocrat. This is the technocrat government. J.D. Vance, technocrat, man. Whitney Webb said so. They're all just going to ruin us. And then Trump does beautiful stuff like this. Under Biden and the left, average Americans' utility bills went up 30%. I never want to see Americans pay higher electricity bills because of data centers. My administration is working with them to secure a commitment to the American people. We'll have much to announce. First up is Microsoft, my team's been working with, which will make major changes beginning this week to ensure Americans don't pick up the tab for their power consumption in the form paying higher utility bills. We're the hottest country in the world. Data centers are key to that, keeping Americans free and secure. But big tech companies who build them must pay their own way. You know why these guys are all cozying up to Trump? Because he's behind the scenes telling them, your free-loading days are over. Listen, you guys play by my rules or I'll destroy you. And so they're coming in, they're like, we'll play by your rules. And he's like, cool, I'll have a dinner to make it look like we're doing great. How about that? And it's all a game, folks. It's all a game. Meanwhile, none of these people are getting off free. They would have, everybody was expecting 2 months ago. I remember seeing it. Finance a lot, all these financial posters I follow on X who do a lot of good stuff, but they're not, some of them are kind of weird. They don't get Trump. They don't understand him. And they were like, oh, he's going to bail out the AI companies. He's going to bail out ChatGPT. Trump immediately came out, no bailouts, not happening. and now making them pay for the data centers. You know what this is going to force? This is going to force them to innovate. And so they've already been talking about possibly using the nuclear cores that the submarines use to power this, which would make energy cheaper everywhere. And so this also becomes an opportunity to try new energy sources. If these data centers, which can be so expensive to use up so electricity, can start running on like mini nuke reactors, then that becomes the test if they're working to spread to the people. And within 5-10 years, we could all have much cheaper electricity. This is the kind of stuff they're setting up for. Mark my words, it's going to happen. This is going to lead to innovation in energy. It will. Put the tech companies on it. And that's how you do it. You guys getting lots of ads? I'm sorry. I'll have to check. I've found a way that I can turn off the ads in while I'm doing my live, but I haven't found a setting that and it takes a second. Hold on. I don't want you guys getting ads while you're watching this. I hate when they do that. Interrupts the flow. Ain't got no flow when you got ads. Let me see if it's gonna let me do this. There we go. I'm actually not turning them off. I'm just telling them that only play an ad if I want them to. And now do that. There we go. Interrupts the flow. Hopefully that took out the ads. Ain't got no flow when you got ads. Oh. There we go. All right. Hopefully that works. Oh, yeah. Premium. You won't get ads if you're in premium. Okay. And then Trump announces this today. This is huge. Dina Powell McCormick named the new president of Meta. Mark Zuckerberg just appointed a Trump, somebody who's serving in the Trump administration, a Trumper, a MAGA hat, a true red, is now the head of Meta, which is Facebook, Instagram, and the vile, stupid Threads that nobody's on. This is huge. So Elon took over X, freed it, and it's got its issues still, but still the best place in the world for news. Meta, Zuckerberg. Remember when Zuckerberg came out last year and he'd been like, or a year and 2 years ago, and he looked so much more in shape. He's like, I got in shape, more testosterone, blah, blah, blah. It started speaking more favorable on Trump. Came out and said the FBI had told him, like, during COVID that they were having to censor. He kind of outed Biden administration, and listen, I don't trust Zuckerberg. I think that dude only is going to do what's best for him. All right. That's who Zuckerberg is. I truly don't believe that guy has like principled thoughts about all this. I really don't. I don't think he's trying to do what's best for the country or anything like that. It's what's best for Zuckerberg. Well, what's best for Zuckerberg right now is playing nice with the Trump administration, which means we might actually see Facebook be freed. And it's been, listen, I'm barely on Facebook, but it's been a lot better in the last year and a half. And this might actually free it up more. So who knows? We'll see what happens there. But this is a big deal. This is a big deal. This tells you a new direction is coming for all the social media companies. And by the way, the social media companies are the tip of the spear for the psyops, because once the mainstream media stopped working as well, getting out their narratives, getting out their stories, they turned to the social media companies to deliver it directly to you in nice, clickable, punchy ways that keep you doom scrolling and filling up your head. You guys watching? You guys are the free ones, the awakened ones. They actually go looking for real information. But unfortunately, far too many are still stuck in those loops. So hopefully this helps break that a little bit more. All right. Let's look at this. Preparing for what I think is going to be significant market instability in the next couple months, maybe even a crash. U.S. money market funds have posted plus 148.5 billion net inflow in the first week of 2026, third largest on record. Only below 240 billion and 200 billion inflows seen during the 2020 pandemic crash. Why? That's the question. Why? Why are so many money market funds posting an inflow when there hasn't been a crash yet? Very interesting. This is what you call a signal. We'll see what comes of it. We've had many, many, many signals over the last 3 years, and none of it has turned into a crash, despite the fact that those signals usually worked out before. And now we're getting another big signal. Since the start of 25, U.S. money market fund assets have risen $954 billion to a record almost $8 trillion. Since the 2020 pandemic, assets in money market funds have surged $4 trillion, 116%. Safe haven investments holding strong. That's a lot of money going into safe havens. So does somebody know what's coming? Look at what's going on with silver. Look what's going on with gold. Gold could be pushing 5,000 soon. Silver 90. I mean, crazy stuff. And that's a lot of flight to safety. A lot of flight to safety, which can cause short squeezes. So as short squeezes happen, can destabilize the markets. Could be destabilized anyways. We already got the Japan, all the rates in Japan going up, which is hurting the reverse carry trade. Lots of pressures going on in the markets that we're not seeing as much right now, or being talked about as much right now, because the economy is actually doing very well. It's coming back around fast. And then we have all this other stuff going on. Foreign policy, the ICE agents, a lot of distractions. And then you get Powell out today. Doesn't it all kind of seem like it's working towards something? They're working towards something? I really think so. So let's keep an eye on that. You want arrests? Well, check this out, guys. Today, grand juries started impaneling in Florida for Crossfire Hurricane and the raid on Mar-a-Lago. In other words, Rico. So this guy is just, goodbye. Nice try trolling my channel there, buddy. Had to send somebody packing. Unfortunately, just trolling the chat. So, grand juries impaneling. Listen to what Brian Cates says about this. Federal grand juries were already seated and investigating prior to today. Already multiple federal grand juries investigating grand conspiracy before today. What happened today is 2 additional federal grand juries were impaneled to investigate different issues involved in grand conspiracy. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Remember I told you, Pam Bondi, Florida? I think this is what she's working towards. Building all this out. All that stuff that Tulsi Gabbard came out last year, that's this right here. Now, these things take time. They take time, but they do happen. It is headed in the right direction. So if you guys are mad about arrest, guys, it's definitely looking like it's heading in the right direction. And in case you're worried, U.S. Department of Labor, after decades of being left behind, shut out by our government, the hardworking men and women of our nation finally have a voice in D.C. Other presidents fought for globalist interests. Globalist interests. There it is. President Trump fighting for you. We are going to win. Department of Labor has been posting some really interesting things lately, including again today. It's Monday. Patriots are in control. I saw today in the Discord some guys talking about the Q operation and explaining it. Well, one of the reasons it's relevant is the Department of Labor has been posting several connections to Q over and over and over again the last couple weeks, especially in the last week. This is the 5th or 6th one they've posted. Patriots in control. It's the second time they wrote Patriots in control. Why? Ask yourself why. First of all, Department of Labor. Very interesting that they're the ones doing it. But you get a little bit of, plausible deniability since it's not the DOJ posting it or the Secretary of State Department. A little plausible deniability. B, what timing? Right when things are ramping up, they're calling attention back to the people who were awake in the first place, who are actually following this. And this is back to the post 4 days ago showing what they've been posting. Department of Labor posting, trust the plan, trust Trump, Patriots in control. That was the first one. And here's what the Q posts were 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Stay the course, trust the plan. We fight conspiracy no more. Over here, you were told what was going to happen. You were told what battles we face, strategic, pre-planned, Patriots in control. Very interesting stuff. You guys can believe it or not, but what you cannot deny is that it's very interesting and it keeps happening. To me, I have a feeling that we know, and by we, I mean the Trump administration, the USA, has things under control in a certain perspective. It doesn't mean everything's pre-planned, not the way that some people mean it anyways, but we have a plan. We're staying ahead of them. They are getting more and more desperate, which means they're dangerous. We might see casualties. But guys, you don't get this desperate unless you're falling apart. You don't get this desperate unless you're losing. So, listen, we're in a very important time right now. Things are about to ramp up substantially. The question is, will it be just like last summer where things were ramping up and then Trump took it? Trump took it and ended it quickly. Is that possible? I think it absolutely is. So pay attention. Trust the plan. Trust Trump. Pray. We got to pray. We'll end up with a prayer again tonight. In the chat real quick, possibly says, poor worker and he only wanted to bring laughter in the world. Was he being nice? I thought I saw... He said, tap here to be disappointed. I thought he was making fun of the stream. If he's actually being nice, I'll unban him. I just saw nonstop posts, and it looked like he was trying to distract the stream. So if he's a good one, I'll make it up to him. Purple, by the way, on Rumble says, who Alabama, John wants to talk to me? I don't even know who that is. I'll see what I can do. It's pretty late here. I might have to go to bed, but maybe another time. He can hit me up on X. I'm very open to talking with other streamers. Anyways, guys, listen, let's end in a prayer. I'll be back on tomorrow. We'll go through more, see how things are going. But yeah, we got to end in a prayer because this Iranian situation is crazy. It's very clear. They're going all out. The riots here, I have no idea how much they'll ramp up. We will have to say thank God for the cold. It's going to keep them indoors a lot at night, off the streets. So, but if this keeps ramping up, we're very close to seeing the Insurrection Act. And that's when, if that happens, things are going to go fast and furious. So just prepare yourself. So anyways, Heavenly Father, thank you for today. God bless these people watching. Thank you for them, Lord. Thank you for their support. And God, I just pray you bless them where they're at. We pray for the world right now, Lord. It's clear there's a lot of buttons being pushed right now to try to ramp things up, to try to ruin what we're doing, what the Trump administration is doing to get our nation back on track and ultimately the world. So, God, I pray for wisdom and protection for President Trump and his team. and just be with them, Lord. Watch over them and just direct them in all their decisions. And Father, I just pray, as in so many other times, that they have a plan that shocks everybody with how efficient it is, with how well it works, and with how effective it ultimately is. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.